Yeah.
All right, it's another Random Ramblings Wednesday. That's a lot more difficult to say than I had thought when we started this.
A little bit of a tongue tire.
I'm Justin.
My handle's JP, also known as JP Savage, also known as DJ Monati.
I thought it was MC Monati. Yeah,
I screwed that up my own self.
Man. And this is the part of the week where we just talk about absolutely nothing. We have no rhyme, reason, or direction. We just get on here and we talk about nothing but whatever comes to mind for a little bit of time. And for some reason, some people seem to enjoy listening to that, so we'll keep doing it. So if you're new to our channel or you randomly found us floating around the interwebs, as our name would suggest, which don't get too comfortable with that name, it's probably going to change here soon. But we started off talking about The Walking Dead. We're going to continue to talk about The Walking Dead, but we want to branch out and do other things. We want to, for example, The Punisher. We want to talk about that. We want to start doing a lot. It's just getting JP to actually do it.
Yeah, but I got to catch up. I'm like 2 episodes into The Punisher.
That's how far I am. Oh, man, we could have done maybe we'll have out a review of the first 2 episodes sometime soon when we'll discuss what's going on. But
yeah, hopefully I'll watch some more tonight. We'll see.
That's not what we're here to do today. Today we're here to BS, and JP will probably get a little pervy. But
who, me?
Yeah, you.
Speaking of pervs, the whole kerfluffle about Kevin Spacey, and I know a lot of people. A couple weeks ago, I got into the Ninth Circle, the international sex trafficking ring.
Yeah, we'd like to hear more about this stuff. Focusing
a lot on child sex trafficking. Well, there's been a lot of speculation tying Kevin Spacey into this and this, that, and the other. And did you see the video he put up? He was like in the Underwood, the Francis Underwood character in his kitchen, and people thought he was just crazy and desperate. He's in character saying how he should be back on the show in a roundabout way.
Right.
Well, a lot of people are saying that there's imagery in that where basically he's, putting a message out here to his Ninth Circle cohorts saying that, look, if I go down, you're going down with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, he's got all these, friends in high places. I mean,
y'all need to get me out of this.
Yeah. I saw a picture of him on the other day from back in the day, he just chilling with Bill Clinton.
Well, but wouldn't that be bad on his part, though? Like, wouldn't they just kill him? If that's the case, if they're that powerful and there's that many of them, and these include former presidents, wouldn't they probably just have him taken out?
Well, maybe he's got a contingency plan. Maybe a certain person has like a thumb drive with some very incriminating stuff on it. And, if he disappears one day or has a unfortunate accident, this stuff gets released on WikiLeaks or something.
Be unfortunate for them if he was just in a random car accident that was not at all planned, and then he died, and then his person's like, oh God, and he releases it.
And I'm not breaking the story. A lot of people have been speculating, like on his coffee mug he has. I think it's some kind of emblem having to do with the royal family, and of course they're tied into Jimmy Savile and a lot of nasty stuff. Allegedly that they're into
allegedly
child sex trafficking. So I'm doing a lot of research. Ninth Circle, that might be our first thing we really dive
let's
into.
Do it, man. Jessie, our good friend that's going to be joining us on this podcast, she is ready, and she's got 2 kids. So you can make time. She's got 2 kids, and she's able to make time.
I got 1 cat, but what I'm saying, man, is
and don't forget your dog, Tuco.
All right. First off, man, I love Kevin Spacey. Charges, sexual assault all aside. Just let him do 1 more season of House of Cards. I love that show. I mean, we'll keep him on a tight leash. We'll make him keep his hands to himself. Maybe be kind of like a work release program if he gets convicted. But just please let him do 1 more season.
I've never watched that show. Always intended to, but never got around to it.
The first couple seasons are masterful. I mean, the last one with him, I mean, like any show, it's not going to be as sharp. But I've liked it start to finish. I didn't watch the last episode the last season that they did without him, just because, I mean...
Did they wrap the show up, or are they going to do another season?
Yeah, that's the last season.
Was it?
But he wasn't in it, and I wasn't. It's just...
Did they write him off, or did it just... I mean, did they say where... Did they give him, it was one of those things where they mentioned where he'd went or anything?
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, bada bing, bada boom, he does die in the, as the season starts.
Does it show it?
No, he actually says that in that bizarre video he made. He's like, you didn't see me die, now did you? You need me just as much as I need. It's all very creepy, and he's not even.
That sounds more like Colonel Sanders than it does Kevin Spacey.
Well, he does a great Southern politician. But the thing in the video he released it's really like a subpar Frank Underwood in the like he's not on his game. I don't know. He's got a lot on his mind, so I guess that.
When you fondle young boys.
Yeah, allegedly.
True. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know if he did. You know what I mean? Like that's what I hate so much. And like we won't get super into politics and stuff, but that's what I hate so much about forming an opinion on anything that I don't witness with my own two eyes. Because like with these kids and that Native American guy, that whole debacle, you first see the video and you like, I want to punch this kid in the face. Screw this kid. But then you watch a longer video and it's like, actually, this kid wasn't one of the douchey kids. There were douchey kids in that video. But at the same time, this Native American guy just walked up to him. I mean, how would you react if you're standing there at a public event and this guy just walks up right into your face, starts beating a drum and singing to you? At first, he wasn't smiling. He's just kind of standing there like, what the hell is happening right now? And then as it goes on, he kind of starts grinning. But so again, and people will beat you to death over that and be like, no, what you didn't see. That's why I hate forming an opinion, because you're always wrong. Yeah, man, they have ways of twisting the story. It's funny you mentioned that. I don't know if you're a fan of Wheeler Walker Jr. He's a musician, right? Yeah. He's more like a parody country singer, but he's got some really, really good stuff. He's actually, Wheeler Walker's not even his name. He's a comic. I can't remember his real name, but he took to Twitter and basically said, he'll give a signed vinyl album or some shit like that to anyone who goes and punches that kid in the face. Calling for violence like that. Yeah, and ever since then, like all of his social media has just disappeared. I think like for like his character, Wheeler Walker Jr., and like his personal stuff. But I think a writer on SNL said she'd give out blowjobs to anyone that would go punch that kid. I'm pretty sure. Oh, man, I'll punch anybody for it. But anyway, no. But it's wild, man, because like Wheeler Walker Jr., like just like last week, released a bunch of random tweets saying how much modern country music sucks, which we're on the same page there, and how he was quitting country music, and I don't know, man. I don't know something's going on there. I don't know what dude man's going through, but I didn't know maybe he has like a big leftist agenda that I never knew about. I don't know, but like I said, I hate forming an opinion because I saw that video, and like anyone else, and that's the problem with us as human beings is we react so much off of emotion. Yeah. And we see something like that, and at first, and I mean, you're not at fault if you see it, and I'm not even saying, I'm not going to say whether or not I think, because I don't know who was in the wrong there, but, your first reaction is you just see an older Native American guy, and of course, the press is making sure that he was a veteran, and he's done this and that, and then you see some snotty kid, like from the video, in my perspective, when I first watched it, I thought, like, because the clip I saw, you didn't see who approached who, you just saw the kid standing there. I thought the Native American guy was playing his drum, and this little snotty, rich white kid just stepped up in his face and started grinning. So I'm like, man, and hey, warning, we didn't give it at the beginning of this, but we cuss in this podcast. This is not a family-friendly podcast. There's nudity. There's all kinds. Yeah, you can't see it right now, but it's happening. But if you have kids, if you listen around your kids, this might not be the podcast to listen to. Maybe put one headphone in, because you still need to pay attention to your kid, but have one in. But anyways, without further ado, there's your warning. But, you're like, man, fuck this kid. And you just want to punch him in the mouth because you're like, how dare he, this nice old Native American man, yada. And then you come to find out that, no, he didn't approach the Native American man. The Native American man and the Native American man has been involved in controversy before and done this. And so, one side's telling you, oh, he was just trying to bring peace amongst disputing groups, and then you got other people that are like, oh no, he does this to stir the pot, and you're like, I want to have an opinion, but I don't need one because I wasn't there. I'll never know the truth unless It's tough. The media definitely spins things, and I mean, and I'm not putting any opinion into it, but chances are, if there's someone there wearing one of those red hats, they're going to be made out to be the bad guy. And a lot of times they might be, Right, but it's automatically assumed out the gate. You know what I mean? You're right. I mean, most news outlets right now are more left-leaning. I mean, obviously Fox isn't, but I mean, that's what sucks about stereotypes, man. I mean, like, it's assumed if you drive a jacked-up truck, you have a tiny dong, and you dip tobacco, and you kind of think your sister's cute. Yeah, and it's wild, like, dude, I have a jacked up truck, and I've been okay with that situation my whole life, and I don't dip, and I hope not. I don't find anyone in my family attractive, and it's like, but it just like when people see a jacked up truck, it's just like, oh, that's probably a little dicked redneck right there. Dumb, low IQ, just like, yeah, y'all, we're going to Kid Rock concert. I hate Kid Rock's music. That's just me. If you like Kid Rock, more power to you. I just am not a big fan.
If you like Kid Rock, please unsubscribe.
Don't listen to JP. Don't listen to JP.
Get on YouTube. No, I'm sorry. Whenever I hear Werewolves of London come on the radio, and I'm like, oh man, Warren Zevon, and then it's fucking Kid Rock with his bastardized version of. Not a big Kid Rock fan, but that's what people assume. And so if someone does support President Trump, they just automatically assume that, they're this type of person. And it's just like, not always. I mean, and for the record, I have a medium-sized truck and a medium-sized penis. So you're doing good in life. You're doing good in life. You're kind of right in the middle. Hey, man, I'm trying to walk dick first and just doing my thing. But now that whole thing with the Native American guy it's an episode of The Sopranos. It's Columbus Day, and you've got all the Native American protesters, like they've got like Columbus, a doll of him hanging from a noose, and all the mobsters come out, and they're like, where do you get your balls? And it's a lot like that. I don't know. It just reminded me of it. Yeah, I just think that in life, a lot of times we make assumptions. It's one of those, the age-old saying, man, you can't judge a book by its cover. And that goes for all sides, regardless of left, right, conservative, liberal. I'm not either. I'm like right dead in the middle of politics. I honestly hate politics, man. Mm-hmm. But it's just like when controversies like this young man and the Native American guy come out, you want to form an opinion and get your emotions going. But I wasn't there. And unless someone can release like a video that starts when there was absolutely no one in that, in front of that monument, and then just shows throughout the entire day with amazing sound quality, I'll never know exactly how that played out. I'm just going by he said, she said. Yeah, man. It's funny. The other day I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast. He had someone on, and she was saying that wearing one of those red hats is the same as wearing a white hood. I'm talking about. And he was like, first of all, that doesn't hold water because Kanye wears a red hat. And I was just like, well, guess that makes. That's why I hate politics, man. It's not about making the country better. It's not about it's not about actually taking steps together towards a better future. It's pretty much about I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to prove it no matter what. And both sides are on that shit. And the thing is, too, both sides treat politics and life and lawmaking and things like that like a sport. It's like we're watching the World Series, and it's like, oh, I'm a Republican. In the back of their mind, I don't really agree with this whole wall thing, but you know what? I'm a Republican, so, and then on the other side, Democrats are the same way. It's like, well, I don't really, maybe they're not quite for abortion. They think, well, I'm not really that for abortion, but you know what? I'm with this team, so I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, people don't just think for themselves and go, well, here are the things I support and here are the things I don't support. Right. And then go that way and try to, it just doesn't work. It's like, basically, here's a drawn line of what we support, and that's no budging on that whatsoever. And that's what I hate about politics, man. That's why I hate discussing politics with people. Now, yourself, one of the more open-minded people. I won't really get into deep politics on the podcast because I just don't care to. But you and I have discussed politics many times. You're fairly open-minded about a lot. And the things that you don't agree with that I support, at least you have sound reason behind why you feel a certain way. It's not just an emotion because that's what... Not an emotion, but that's not just something you go for because you claim to be one or the other. Yeah, man. I mean, I've voted Democrat, I've voted Republican, I've voted Libertarian. And I really hate the idea of even voting at all because I think it's a lot like pro wrestling. The outcome's largely predetermined. I think it's a lot like jerking off. It's like South Park, right? You're always voting between a douche and a turd sandwich. I love that episode. I think so much of it's predetermined and fixed. George Carlin does a great bit about why voting's a waste of time. And anyway. I love George Carlin, man. Oh, yeah. Same here. He's a big part of the reason I want to get into a stand-up to begin with. One of the greatest ever. Oh, great. In my opinion, man. I've watched hours of his stuff. Beautiful guy. I hate, that never got to see him live. Yeah, that's tough. Because he was one of those, a lot of people argue that, and I mean, it's true, whether it's an artist or a musician or a comedian, you see him towards the end of their career, you're really just seeing like a shadow of who they once were. But he was Carlin, pretty witty up to the end, man. Dude, Carlin just kept getting better and better up until, it was... probably that life experience probably really... I mean, just the life experience itself probably
gave him more perspective because I almost kind of consider him a comedian / philosopher.
Philosopher, absolutely.
You know what I mean? A lot of the times his comedy, while you were laughing because what he was saying was so brutal half the time you couldn't believe he was saying it. You know what I mean? Or you hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah,
so.
man. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure he was on tour when he got sick and passed away. He was still out there on the road. Yeah, it's wild. Like, and I'm pretty sure I'm not misremembering this, but like, Howard Stern was supposed to have him call in and talk and all this stuff, but like Howard kind of brushed him off because he's a brilliant comedian, but not a great interview. And I'm just like, what the fuck is he talking about?
How does that work? Right. Yeah, he'd be entertaining.
Because he had just been on Bill Maher, and I think that Howard gave him a shout out and he wanted to come on Howard's show, but Howard was just kind of like, yeah. And then, he dies, and he, obviously never got to talk to him after
Terrible
that.
missed opportunity there.
Yeah, man. Like, I look up to Howard a lot, like, especially, years ago. He was a big reason I wanted to get in the radio, but not really someone he's morphed and become so PC, and it's just, I don't know. That is a good example of someone being a shell of who they once were and all this stuff. But
I hate
still
PC,
a great
man.
Interviewer, though. He's still a great interviewer. That I can't, take away from him.
And I won't get too big into a PC discussion, but man, I hate PC. Like, there are certain things you don't say because it's not even so much that, and there are people that want to regulate what you say. I'm not for thought control at all. I think you say, now, if you say something that's ignorant or racist and it gets your ass beat on the streets, that's your fault. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think that anyone should tell you a way to think or, whatever. But people should give you information and let you make your own choice. But I mean, I hate the PC so much, man. I mean, like I said, and there are certain things that I won't even go into here that you don't say because it's wrong. Like, I mean, it's not so much that you don't say it because you can't. You don't say it because you're a decent human being and you know that that's not cool, man. Yeah. But it's like to the point where you're just scared to even admit that there are people different than yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's wild. It's a really wild, and it's really, really like dangerous as far as comedy goes right now. Mel Brooks was saying the other day that this PC culture is just, it's poisoning comedy. It could be the death of comedy. I mean, that's like the one last, like stand-up's one of the last like free form, like forms of expression, like mass expression. Right. It's deadly, and it's so one-sided. Like one of the last times I did stand-up, this African American, a black, wonderful gentleman came up and was doing stand-up, and he wasn't that good, but he just looks at this group of white girls in the front row, and I'm like, oh man, he's gonna have something good and witty, and he's like, oh, we got more than 3 white people together. They gonna do something evil. And I hate him doing like a stereotypical black person voice, but I don't know. It wasn't really funny or clever, but it's just if the shoe was on the other foot, oh yeah. But I kind of got up there and I was just like, you're right. I mean, look, Hitler was evil. This was evil. That was evil. But who wasn't evil and was white? Louis Pasteur. Pasteurization. Next time you have a drink of milk, think a white person. That's all I'm saying. And he didn't like that too much.
He didn't like that.
No.
Didn't he say something about you on stage?
Yeah. He the next comic that went on after me, again another black guy. He was cause like I did this whole bit. I was like, I go up there and I'm kind of rubbing my head and I'm like, I've got so I did something that was really corny and didn't really go over.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. I thought this was pretty funny, man.
I was like, the worst part about losing your hair isn't the hair loss, it's the forehead gain, and it didn't really get any traction. And then I was just like,
you're talking about bald people being discriminated against, right?
Right. I start going into, I don't think I'm not really like, I'm not bald yet. I'm getting there, but I still think I'm bald enough to make black jokes. I'm black enough to make bald jokes. Still not right. I'm saying I'm bald enough to make bald jokes. And I start going into how, like bald, like we're a minority that reaches across race and gender. And, like bald people really should rise up and rule the world.
You think that?
Oh, well, that was the bit. I'm not saying I think that because there's a lot of
I'm watching my back now because at the moment I have a full head of hair.
You have a beautiful head of hair, but a lot of bald people are assholes. And
what did the guy say about you, though? The next guy that got on stage, what did you say? Something about?
Yeah, he was just like, "Oh man, that dude was edgy, right?" He said, "Black." He's like, man, he's like that one kid at Sunday school, who's who's telling jokes and thinks he's so, like on the edge, something like that. Like, look, man, I mean, it's comedy, I mean,
right.
We're commenting on the human condition, whether it's race or gender or this or that. I mean,
and there's a difference between cracking a joke and saying something just blatantly hateful. I mean, like,
right.
Getting on Twitter and saying you'll give away something to your fans if they assault someone.
Yeah.
That's not comedy. That's not funny. That's provoking violence. Whereas, like, when you're on stage, like, I love, like Dave Chappelle still, man. Like, Dave Chappelle was one of my all-time favorite comedians back in the day. And the Chappelle Show, man, I grew up watching that show, loved it so much. And then when he came back out with this Netflix thing, I love how he was ripping on PC culture, man. Yeah. And I mean, like, he said some things, but I mean, it's like, dude, it's in the name of comedy, man. It's not like they're up there calling for violence against these people or arguing about their rights and whether they should or could. I mean, it's just to the point where you're almost scared. Like you might say, does that guy date so-and-so? Mm-hmm. Whereas, you're simple, you'd be like, no, he's actually gay. It's almost to the point where you're like, no, he's gay. Because that's offensive. How dare you say it out loud and acknowledge it? Like, no, I'm just telling you. I mean, and it's
he likes, wieners. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's his thing.
Yeah.
I like my wiener. I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah. I had another bit about that. How I don't know. Let's not get into this.
A masturbation bit?
No. It was about like which was grosser, vaginas or penises, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at them objectively, say you're an alien race from another planet, I mean, they're both pretty fucking gross.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
But penises aren't as smelly, I think, was the crux of the joke. I can't remember, man. I've got it on video. But
well, for people like you and I that have good hygiene, I mean, I don't know about other people.
Yeah, man. But
smelly
at the end
wiener.
Of the day, I mean, a penis isn't an open orifice, so obviously it's not going to take as much maintenance.
Right.
Basically, the ball sweat is where you get your odor.
Hashtag stinky wiener.
Yeah.
Hashtag smelly wiener. Something. I don't know. Just
man,
do something.
And
hashtag stinky winky.
I think.
Hashtag stinky winky. There you go. Hashtag stinky winky in the comments. Let us know you got to this part of the podcast. Hashtag stinky winky. We need to make that a thing. I love it.
Yep. I like it.
But
that was one of my better bits for sure. I wish I could remember how it actually went.
I meant to do this at the beginning of the video, but if you stay tuned to the end, we'll give you our Snapchat information because we've been meaning to do this. There's so many things. Having a full-time radio gig and trying to do a full-time podcasting gig are very confusing at times because sometimes I think, oh, yeah, we've given out our Snapchat and Instagram and stuff like that. And then you're like, no, wait, we did that on the radio. I haven't done that on the... But so we're going to give that at the end of the video. So stay tuned and you can get our Snapchat names and follow us there. Because I was going to say, if at some point, JP, once you get into regular routine or back into doing these stand-up bits, I'm sure there are listeners of ours somewhere in that area that would... Oh, did you hear my puberty try to come back there? Somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Sounded like Morty there, like somewhere in that area.
Yeah, man, I might actually
would love to come see you.
I might actually do an open mic this Thursday. It just depends.
Okay. Where's that, in Greensboro?
Yeah, Greensboro.
Yeah. So if we have any listeners in the NC area, once JP, I guess, starts getting back in the rhythm and feels, comfortable with what he's doing again, because I assure you it's funny stuff. So
yeah, if you enjoy masturbation bits and racially irreverent humor and things of this nature, it's very irreverent. Very irreverent.
Oh yeah, it's all for the sake of comedy. It's fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so maybe listeners in that area, once JP gets going, we'll start giving you the locations of where he'll be, and you can go out and see him.
Yeah, man, I hope I tell you, man, this past week, I'm worried I'm in like the early stages of IBS. Like, my digestive issues have really been a cause for concern, man. I was up from like 2 to 6 o'clock, up and down last night.
Oh, that's terrible, dude.
Yeah,
I think my little brother has that really bad. Anytime he pretty much eats anything, it tears his stomach up. It doesn't matter what it is. If he eats, and it's like with me, I'm good. Like I'm lactose intolerant, which I have not always been. I just became lactose intolerant like the last 5 years. I can eat cheese, like hard cheese, but if I eat like melted cheese, drink milk, or eat like straight up dairy ice cream, now that'll mess me up. But I mean, like, my little brother, we go out to eat anywhere and you have to wait on him when you go to leave.
I'm telling you,
like,
man,
you should not have to go every time you eat.
Like, yesterday morning when we had those two guys in on our morning shows, I'm interviewing them over there, and our studios are like tight little rooms. I'm just like, God, please get these motherfuckers out of here. And they wouldn't stop talking. I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to gas y'all sons of bitches if we don't wrap this up.
I'm gonna gas chamber the shit out of you.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, brother, you ain't going to be doing any marathons.
Let's say it makes you feel bad, too, because one of them's doing something great to, support cancer victims. And you're like, look, dude, I'm all for your cause, but seriously, like, get out before I run you out.
That's what I'm saying, man. It really, I don't know.
Dropping them butt bombs.
Yeah. And like, I thought maybe it had to do with the Olive Garden yesterday. I don't know.
When did you eat Olive Garden?
Well, like Granny got out of work early. I literally had to go and pick her right back up. Like she gets there and she does like home health care. She sits with an old lady, which is weird because I think she's actually older than the old lady she sits with. But the family was just like, we're getting ready to have to take her to the doctor. You might as well just not stay. So I'm like 10 minutes up the road after dropping her off. I have to go back, pick her up. And we just, Isn't
it weird how that works? Like your grandma, your granny Nana, she smokes a lot. She smokes those Virginia Slims or whatever. Smokes cigarettes. Yeah. Doesn't seem to be that health conscious, and she's got people younger than her that she takes care of, and it's just always the way it works. And I mean, it's like I understand that, and I try to be healthy myself. I drink a lot of water, and try to get to the gym as often as I can, but. A lot of times it's just like 6 feet under. Remember Nate ran every day, was fairly healthy, and then he has this like brain disorder or it's like a kind of like an aneurysm or whatever. But
a lot of it's, sure it's luck or genetics or whatever, but I think a big part of it, man, she's worked since she was a little kid. I mean, she was a sharecropper. As soon as she was able to walk, she was out there picking tobacco or beans or whatever.
You don't pick tobacco, you pull tobacco.
Oh, whatever. But I mean,
from those of us that have done it.
Yeah, and she's still. You ain't getting my ass out there. No way, Jose.
You ain't never. You live in the South and you've never pulled tobacco.
No, I'm not pulling up tobacco.
Have you ever shucked corn?
I helped pick snap beans. That was about the extent of my agriculture.
I can't believe you've never pulled tobacco. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't have it near as rough. Like I've only done it a couple times. But like my dad grew up. My great grandpa owned a tobacco farm, amongst other things. So my dad grew up working with tons of other people, and that was his whole summer. Like his summer, he'd go stay with my great grandparents, and they'd give him a couple $100, and he would wake up every morning at the crack of dawn, go out there and pull tobacco till about lunch, take a little break, go back out there and get to pulling. And
yeah, man, there were fields right up the road.
I've done it a couple times just to help make a little extra money, but man. I can't believe you've never done that.
Shoot,
I definitely thought
I'll sit at home broke as hell before I'll go pull some tobacco. No,
man, I was buying baseball cards and everything with that. No. But yeah, it's crazy.
She's worked her whole life. I think just having that steady routine and staying busy, man, I think it keeps you going.
An object in motion stays in motion.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of that whole thought process. And it's like, if you stop using it, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's no coincidence. A lot of people after they retire, they don't live much longer. I mean,
that's what I got to get. I really want to change my diet. I know that sounds silly, but I know that's got to be responsible for why I'm getting so lethargic as I get older. I mean, I don't know. I used to look forward to getting off work and hitting the gym. I'd go here in our area, we have these wonderful network of trails that you can walk. I mean, a lot of them are paved. There are some that aren't paved that go off into the woods, really creepy and fun. But I mean, I used to take my bike and I would bike a couple miles. I mean, I would do this every day and could not wait to do it. And now and I know that it's part of getting older, but as I get older, man, like today, we were talking about going to the gym when we get off work. I kind of just want to go home and sit on my couch.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So that's something I want to try to overcome, because I think that's how you kind of get into the rut of getting older and not doing anything, and then you die young.
Yeah, man. Considerably. Diet. I think if we had like as far as snacking around the station, man, if we kept nuts like almonds, pistachios, man, I think that'd help a lot.
I think I've had nuts around the studio though, and you guys didn't want any. I had some peanuts, some salted caramel peanuts that were.
Yeah, I don't like those flavors. I like pistachios a lot. Like I just mixed up a bunch of almonds, pistachios, and
maybe we can get a big bowl and do some mixed nuts and trail mix. Trail mix is good if you get the good stuff that doesn't have a lot of sugar and everything in it. I mean, they say that's a good energy booster. Granola, yeah. Another good. It's just kind of changing your eating habits, because I do eat a lot of fast foods. My girlfriend and I do cook at night, so we'll usually have steaks or whatever. But up to that point, everything I've eaten that day has been fast food, or so it's just changing up your eating habits. I think is a big part of it. Having the energy.
Yeah.
Cutting back sodas, drinking water.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to get better, but
I'm drinking my coffee now, but
I mean, you eat and you drank the same way for, like a lifetime, and then you just like, man.
It's a big change.
Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to, I've been drinking Sprite a lot here lately. Well, mainly it started because one of our sweet ladies that works at the station just left us a ton of it here, but also because it has no caffeine, and I know it's still got sugars and all of that, so I know it's not completely good for you, but I'm trying to do something. Caffeine, man, here lately has been making me real shaky. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, man, I was on that when I was, working both jobs, man. I was on that Red Bull kick bad.
I love Red Bull, man.
Yeah,
see, Red Bull don't make me Monster. And Monster's my favorite. I could drink, if they could come out with a green Monster energy drink or something that tastes identical to it, just with way less caffeine and does it. It just makes me shaky. I get confused, shaky, irritable. It's kind of like it feels like a sugar crash, but it's like the opposite because I've got a sugar overload. But I hate that because I love the way they taste. But I love Red Bull for the fact that they don't do that to me. They just kind of get me more like, all right.
Yeah, man, that stuff will kill you. It really will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've tried to. At one point, man, I had gotten so bad. At one point, I was seriously, I don't know where I was getting the money for this shit. I was drinking 2 or 3 of them a day. Mm-hmm. And I look back and I'm like, man, I'm glad I got it. I mean, it's been years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I used to see monsters in here like all the time. Mm-hmm. You'd be killing some monsters.
I cut them down, though. I mean, you haven't seen one in here in a hot minute.
A long time.
Now that we're talking about it, I really want one.
I was getting ready to ask you I was going to ask you if, there was some kind of like sponsorship going with the monster or something. They're just hooking you up,
Man, I've got you. Have you seen? I've shown you. I think I have a Monster glass bottle because I found original Monsters in glass bottles around here, where I've got all those tabs in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, well over like 1,500 tabs. And actually, hold on, let me reach into my pocket. See, a lot of times I can just reach into my pocket and randomly find one. Let's see if I happen to have one on me today. There's eye drops, gum. I don't have one today.
Oh well,
because I had one this weekend. Ow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I do agree. I think a lot of it is just staying busy.
Yeah, man. You got to, you got to keep moving. Got to keep going.
Give us your feedback. Here's something we've been talking about. Now, I know that this podcast right here really finds the true listeners because there's no way to really grab people in the internet, that aren't familiar with us. Right. And people might find it, but this is really just kind of random rambling for our, people that listen a lot. But so here's something JP and I were talking about. We'll see what you guys think. And if you like the idea, maybe we'll do it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to continue to podcast, and we're going to try to create a schedule and stick to it. There will be weeks, and we'll try to get better at letting you know ahead of time, hey, this week the random ramblings isn't going to come out till Thursday. We'll try to get better at sticking to a schedule, letting you know if that changes. But we're talking about possibly going live with a couple of these podcasts, maybe like the Walking Dead podcast when that comes back on Monday mornings. Like we will record it and it will go to our YouTube channel, just like it does for people that don't get to listen early in the morning, maybe catch it that night the next day. But for those that could be up and could be listening, we'll have like a live option. Like we'll be recording it while doing it, but it'll also be broadcasting live, and then we can interact with listeners, answer questions, get more points, because a lot of times we talk about an episode of The Walking Dead, and then one of you brings up an amazing point, and we're like, we hadn't thought about that. That makes so much sense. And then we'll talk about it the next time, and it would help make that process faster. Like you would just be like, oh, no, this is why I think this is happening. And we'll be like, wow, we're stupid. Why didn't we see that? And we'll address it at that moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so that's something we've been thinking about. So please, we love comments, man. So let us know if you think that that's something that you'd be interested in, like maybe waking up and doing that or what. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, we're used to live broadcasting. That's kind of our thing. I feel like I do better live broadcasting because I know I can't mess up.
Yeah, I feel the same way a lot of times.
Not that I don't mess up, but
I still mess up.
I feel like I mess up less when I know there's less room for error.
Yeah, and you're not as prone to like just stopping your tracks because you're like, stuff. Let me just stop and re-record.
Let me just stop and start this over. I feel like that kind of like when we do live events. That's why I much rather. Because at one point when we did like live on location broadcasts, we would pre-record the breaks and send them in. And I thought that you would think that'd be the best way to do it. But what I hated was when you tell people, oh, if you mess up, they'll fix it. They'll mess up 100,000 times because they know they can. They'll be like, I didn't like the way that sounded. Let me redo that. Or I said that wrong. You tell them it's live. Even when we pre-recorded, I would just lie and be like, all right, this is live.
Yeah.
Even though it was like 30 seconds off or on a delay or whatever, it'd be like, this is live. So then when they mess up, they don't go, oh, cut that, start over. Because then you're sitting there and your board op is sitting back at the station like, oh, screw you, lady. I don't feel like having to cut all this out. So that's what I started doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I feel like we are kind of moving to the end of this podcast.
Yeah, I'm running out of steam. I don't know what else to talk about.
It's your diet.
Huh?
It's your diet.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's why you're running out of steam.
I haven't ate this morning.
You haven't eaten anything?
I haven't ate.
I keep smacking the microphone. I'm sorry.
I was just worried about my digestive issues. I was like, man.
So you're so worried about it, you're at the point where you're not really eating that much?
Well, I'm going to eat. I want to be kind of in a safe location.
Go see a doctor, man.
Yeah,
is there any common?
I really do.
Is there anything common in the foods that you're eating that might be triggering it?
I'm not getting enough fruits and vegetables. That's for sure.
Are you eating greasy food? I mean, like, what are you?
I mean, yeah, sometimes. I really need to. It's a lot of bread, meat, and potatoes.
Oh man, that's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, burgers, fries.
Especially when you're in the South.
Pizza,
I mean, like we're raised as meat and potato kind of fellas. So,
Potatoes, cheese, and meat.
Well, for those that for some reason or another find us interesting and want to follow us a little bit more than the podcast, let's give out those social media handles, JP. What is your Snapchat name?
I don't know what my Snapchat name is.
I know that you're JP 5000, right? Like JAYPEA, not actually the letters JP.
Right. Yeah, I think that is.
It's spelled out JAYPEA 5000, I believe. Now, it's actually under another username, like the @ thing, but I know that that's like one of your names. Mine is simple. Mine's just I'm Justin Lloyd, and there are 2 L's in the Lloyd. But you can find me on Snapchat. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure, that is actually also my Instagram name as well. So I'm Justin Lloyd, 2 L's in Lloyd, and you'll find me. JP, what is your Instagram hand? I mean, your Snap. JP don't have Instagram.
No, I don't have it. But you can check me out on Parascope at jpslim, jpslim.
And what about your Snapchat? Make sure I got that right.
Yeah, let's see.
And we might start doing that. That was another suggestion from JP, is that we start doing Periscopes while we do our podcast.
Yeah, I love Periscope.
I'll download the app and do it, and then you can watch 2 different and get 2 different views.
So which would they actually need?
Let me see your phone. Ugh. All right, so you got mine. Mine's I'm Justin Lloyd for Snapchat and Instagram. For JP, if you want to get him on Instagram.
Or no, Snapchat.
Snapchat, sorry. Duh, he don't have Instagram. You definitely should get Instagram.
What do you even do with that?
Just take pictures.
Oh.
But, all right, so for Snapchat, for JP, it's JAYPEA 5000.
5000. If it was an Android, that would be mine.
But his actual name on here is J_Radsaw.
Yeah.
RADSAW. So again,
Radsaw is my pen name.
J_Radsaw.
You can always follow my blog on WordPress, Boxes and Cans. I haven't updated it in like 2 years, but even still.
But maybe you'll have a reason to.
There's 2 or 3 nice ones on there from my days in the grocery business.
So if you want to, give us a follow on Instagram, give us a follow on Snapchat. We'll try to stay connected with you, and we will see you tomorrow for our mail call podcast. We'll be answering your questions directly. It's always one of my favorite podcasts that we do. This is my favorite podcast we do.
Yeah, same here, man.
I like just having no direction, but it is fun to answer questions. So
it is.
We'll be doing that tomorrow. That'll be up at some point. In the meantime, I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.
Knock yourself out. Just don't get hurt.
Yeah, stay cool. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.